Let me see if I can show y'all. This is unreal.
Sean Diddy Combs is facing new sexual assault allegations. A lawyer representing 120 accusers says the artist committed numerous sexual acts on his clients dating back more than 20 years. ABC's Andrew Dimpert has the details.
This morning, Sean Diddy Combs faces a slew of new allegations. 120 new alleged victims coming.
Again.
Diddy Combs faces a slew of new allegations. 120 new alleged victims.
New. So this means additional. This is not 120 total victims. This is 120 new victims on top of the existing victims.
Coming forward with plans to sue, claiming Combs sexually assaulted or abused them.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world.
The alleged assaults span 3 decades, with the alleged victims ranging from men and women who claim they were drugged during Combs' parties to a 9-year-old who claims Combs assaulted him in a music studio.
We talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred. It's shocking. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts.
The new accusation.
For context, Bill Cosby was only like 40 victims, right? It was like 40 something women that came forward about Bill Cosby. Yeah, right? It was something like that. It was like, yeah, it was only 40. So O.J. Simpson was 20. Yes. So you think about with this guy, he is like half nearly the age of Bill Cosby with at least more than 3 times more victims. Think about that. That's insane. Crazy.
Have not been fully vetted, and the lawyer expecting to file the lawsuits says victims will remain anonymous whenever legally possible.
Obviously.
But the claims come on the heels of a dozen other civil suits and a federal criminal case against Combs that alleges a decades-long pattern of physical and sexual violence.
Oh my God.
The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. The only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward.
Sure. That's always what happens.
And it gives them some comfort that, hey, I won't be the only one.
Yeah.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. In the wake of these new allegations, his attorney says Combs emphatically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors.
Oh my fucking God. This is insane. And the thing is, like any reasonable person would realize, like, obviously, it's not like this is going to be it, right? It's not like, oh, well, now there's not going to be any more of these. Justin Bieber's 48 Hours with Diddy. Yeah, this is fucking brutal. This is so fucking dark. This is a Justin Bieber video on his main channel from 14 years ago. Oh my God. I'll look at a little bit of this. I don't want to go through everything, obviously. It's a long one. Bro, the top comment, Judgment Day for the entertainment industry.
My name is Tony Busby. I'm a lawyer here in Houston. I'm licensed in Texas and in New York. And I'll introduce other members of our team as they speak. As many of you know, our law firm has been at the forefront of some of the most important litigation in the United States. We like the tough cases. We thrive in the complicated cases. We've handled over the last 25 years some very people and many entities involved.
Wait.
The conduct we will describe today occurred over more than 20 years. There are many people and many entities involved.
Okay.
And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will
if he does that, this is going to be like a Hollywood entertainment industry rapture. The fucking Purge. Yeah. It's so crazy. It's like one of those things where it's like the probability of this, like, it's there, right? It could happen. But it's so insane to imagine, because think about all the people that have made offhanded comments about this, and now people are retroactively looking back and being like, hey, wait, what the fuck, right? Like, the Ain't No Party, like a Diddy party, Leonardo DiCaprio stuff, you know, Jay-Z, yeah, exactly, like Usher, Pink, right, deleting all their tweets, LeBron James, yep, there you go. The Hollywood Holocaust. I mean, I actually think that this could be probably the biggest scandal that could ever happen to Hollywood if these names are released. This could be probably the biggest entertainment industry scandal that probably has ever and maybe even will ever happen. Ideally, this is what happens. We need this culling. Yeah. Bigger than Epstein? Yes. Way bigger than Epstein. Who went down for Epstein? The guy killed himself, right? And then, like, that other woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, went into jail or some shit. Like, who cares? They didn't bring down hardly anybody else besides him. Yeah, like, that's a huge difference. I'm afraid he'll end up committing suicide. That's the thing.
Expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors.
Oh my God.
We will pursue this matter no matter who the evidence implicates.
Epstein was for politicians. Diddy was for celebrities. Yeah, true. Where it's like celebrities are powerful, but they're not Bill Clinton, right? And so I could see this easily happen to them. Yeah, they could be done. They're not lawmakers. Yeah,
these brave
they don't make the
who
rules.
step forward deserve nothing less. The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had, at this point, more than 3,285 individuals contact us, with people claiming
3,285. So these 120 are just the cream of the crop? Like, and these are just the ones that have contacted you?
people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against...
So if they're representing 120 individuals, let's read in between the lines here. That means that they have found that 120 of these people have enough information and enough evidence to where they have a viable case. Which I would also probably assume is the minority of people. Like, I would logically assume that most people would not have enough evidence to prosecute for something like this, especially because it spans, you know, like 30 years.
Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
I hate to say it, but I'll believe it when I see it. After Epstein, after Harvey Weinstein, I'll believe it when I see it.
And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI. And you should also know a few of them have already been spoken to by the FBI. Now, before we discuss the nature of the claims and claimants themselves, let me comment on the large volume of calls we have received since our first announcement.
Yeah, this is 3,000.
Even before the indictment of Sean Combs, we had received a small volume of calls and had screened a handful of cases. After the indictment of Sean Combs and the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened.
This is something that's extremely common for a lot of people that are sexual abusers and bad actors inside of different spaces, is that when a person gets prosecuted or they get criminally tried for any sort of sexual bad behavior, the odds are, or sorry, the average is that a person who actually gets held accountable for bad sexual behavior has already had 5 prior victims that they were not held accountable for. So that's why, that's the reason, and this is a studied phenomenon. And I think this is true, like, obviously with, like, celebrities because they're very powerful. But what I'm saying is that it's true even at, like, an individual private citizen level. It's extremely common.
People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons.
And that's why, by the way, you see when one person speaks out, a bunch of other people speak out too. And, like, to me, that's one of the big indicators whether I believe the, like, veracity of, like, an accusation. Is, like, I would generally, like, you know, one person accuses somebody of something, it's like, okay, right, I'm not sure what happened. But, like, 3 or 4 or 10 people, or let's say, I don't know, 3,285 people come out and they say the same thing. Or, like, they all say the same thing about this one person. It's like, come on. Come on, at what point, right?
Are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared.
Yeah, of course.
They fear backlash in their communities. They fear backlash in their own families. Mm-hmm. They are afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates.
Yep.
They are rightly afraid for their own personal safety. I expect that through this process, many powerful people will be exposed.
We got to protect this man. Yeah. I just, like, Diddy's gonna die. So I don't think that's going to happen because it won't change the outcome. The difference between Diddy and Epstein is that a bunch of other people have these videos. With Epstein, nobody else had this information because it was so locked down. Like, Epstein, you've got to keep in mind, was flying out, like, former presidents, like, you know, CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies. Like, the level of control that they had was, like, way higher than Diddy. Like, you've got to keep in mind, like, Epstein was, like several measures of power more powerful than Diddy. Like, way, like, I mean, this guy was friends with Bill Clinton. It's not even close.
Many dirty secrets will be revealed. We know what we are potentially up against. And as is always the case in situations like this, when a celebrity is involved, people can be downright mean and nasty.
I bet they can.
You'd be shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
This word fans, they're fanatics.
That's clever.
I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media.
I bet.
And when I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. Mm-hmm. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers.
Yeah, that's what happens with a lot of people.
You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you. That being said, as stated, we are vetting every call.
It's crazy there's Diddy defenders. I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen any Diddy defenders. And, like, if there were any Diddy defenders, like 100 new sexual assault allegations, one person's apparently 9 that's named. Like, I feel like people are like, oh, yeah, I mean, damn, wow, whew, okay. Ain't that something? Wow. Yeah, I feel like that's, yeah, where are they?
All that we receive. We have had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues, we check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit. We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim. We're using our common sense. We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times it's the victim's word against the alleged perpetrator.
Maybe they'll only prove half of them.
Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public. The feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly.
Damn.
I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive. But it is what it is, so we will press on. As
this guy's good,
our law
man.
Firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue
It
cases
is what it is, yep.
against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs.
So if it's even and it's like that, the odds are they probably took the 120 best ones because they didn't have the bandwidth for any more than that. Like, that's logically what would happen, right? They took the top 60 for each one, the strongest cases. Because you've got to keep in mind, like, you can't just, like, you know, do an infinite amount of cases.
Plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. Victims are from more than 25 states.
Mm-hmm.
The majority are from California, New York,
I don't know why it's doing
Georgia, and Florida. I don't want to focus.
Is this, can y'all check real quick and see if this is me or if this is the video? Can y'all do that just real quick? It's not just you? Okay, okay.
When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is...
Somebody said Justin Bieber was 14 then? That's crazy. Man, what a coincidence. That's crazy. Wow.
Very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct.
Oh my God.
Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time.
Because you got to keep in mind that, like, the people that probably got fucked around with, like, in, like, the early 2000s and, like, maybe even the 90s or, like, even the early 2010s, you know, you didn't have as many smartphones back then. Like, the world wasn't as connected. You didn't have as much evidence as you do now. Like, now you've got all this evidence. And also, like, of course, you know, as time goes on, it becomes harder to prove things because it's like, well, this happened such a long time ago. And, like, you know, there's less people that remember it well. And there's also, of course, statute of limitations. And so, yeah.
Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago,
they don't have strong evidence, just hearsay?
You wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward. I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York, as an example. The state of New York has specific...
It's a big problem that, like, people have is that, like, there's like there's always like this internet discourse that is about whether you should believe victims or not. And I think the reality is that you can't prosecute and you can't go after a case for something like this unless you have some degree of trust that the person is telling the truth. I think that from my perspective, it's trust but verify. You know, you're coming up to this. It doesn't mean like, you know, shoot first and ask questions later, but it means, okay, you're coming up with this accusation. We're going to take this seriously and we're going to act on it. I wish more people thought like that.
Statutes in place that revive claims that are even claims that would typically be not able
too many
to
victims,
be brought,
yeah.
That
too many
revive
people.
Such claims and they can be brought even 25 to 30 years later.
Yeah.
Because there's a recognition there in New York and California and other states that it's very difficult for a victim to come forward. And I would respectfully suggest the only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward. And it gives them some comfort that, hey, I won't be the only one. And I expect more victims will come forward. You know, there's an old saying, it says, a lie has great speed, but truth has endurance.
Yep.
The acts complained of in these cases that we're going to file occurred primarily in New York,
that. That's true.
Either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they called a puppy party.
No matter how you interpret what puppy could mean, it's bad. Doesn't matter how you want to interpret it, it's bad either way.
Parties, 4th of July parties.
Again.
Something they called a puppy party.
Jesus.
The all-white party.
All-white party?
Although several of these events occurred at auditions. Many times, especially young people, people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs.
Well, it's never happened before.
You should know that some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know. Some of this behavior occurred at hotels that we're all familiar with. You should know that more than 55% of the victims filed reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our...
This goes into what I was thinking earlier, because statistically, as far as I know, there is a low probability that people filed reports. So this proves, it doesn't really prove, but it goes to show kind of what I was saying is that they clearly took the 120 most credible, because for actual reports, there is a very low probability that somebody files a report. So if you're at 55% for something like this, that means that you've curated the most plausible and the most verifiable instances.
Our team, assistants, medical records.
You see what I'm saying?
Reports that were made to the authorities. And I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did, in fact, talk to the FBI. You should know that several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did, in fact, seek medical treatment were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs.
It's crazy how it just gets worse. That's not, wow. So it just gets worse and worse.
Drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine, or trank, which, based on our research, is known as a horse tranquilizer.
What the fuck?
Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class action is when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case.
Oh my God.
Each case may be filed in one venue like California, another case may be filed in New York.
Multiple charges,
one case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people. I would expect most, though, to be filed, as I said, in New York and Los Angeles. Now, I know this. Many of you came here thinking or hoping or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. Well, that day will come, but it won't be today.
He's not going to do it until it goes to court. Because if he goes and he names names right now, those people will know and they can act accordingly. So obviously he's not going to name names. That would be stupid. Never tell somebody what you're going to do until you do it. Yeah, don't show your hand. Yeah, of course.
We will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course,
I think this is already a lot different than the whole than the Epstein situation, because all of the information is way more decentralized. Like, the Epstein situation was extremely centralized, and the control around it was incredibly tight. But with this, there's already so many other people that know about the information. I feel like you basically can't stop this at this point, because too many people know about it. And so, like, even if you kill one or two of these people, the tipping point has already happened. Especially considering these are people in entertainment, so the odds are that there's, like, media of these things happening.
I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing.
Yeah, this is what I saw. Yeah, this is what we saw earlier.
About the people that participated.
Yeah, because this is the thing. People that knew that it was happening and didn't do anything about it. It's going to get real? Yeah. Bro, like, this is insane.
Encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are.
Oh, my God.
I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in vile conduct.
Yeah?
As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but would also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving.
Only 10 grand? So, Jesus.
In addition to Sean Combs.
That's it?
You should know the defendants in these cases we're going to file will include Anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation.
Yeah.
Anyone who participated in such in any way. Anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct. Anyone who was in the room and watched it happen but made no effort to stop it. Any venue or venue owner.
Bro, they're going scorched earth. Oh my God. This is insane. And the thing is also, like, the fact that this guy went out and made like a massive, like, did a whole press conference for this. It's going to be pretty hard to kill this guy now. And, you know, like, and also, by the way, he's at a law office and there's a bunch of other people that work at the same law office. And they all know the same thing.
Who was aware of what was going on, but failed to stop it. Any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it, but did nothing to report it or stop it. And any individual or entity who covered it up or helped cover it up. These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine, as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous.
Oh, man.
You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there right now who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data. Now,
I can think of one of them. Yeah.
These are, in fact, individual cases. There is a common theme, an MO, if you will.
What's the theme?
Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of physical violence or financial repercussions.
Yeah, of course.
Or bodily harm. The claims we intend to bring will include the following: violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors. Given a large volume of cases,
those are all really bad. Oh my God. Wow.
and given our other docket obligations, and given the fact that we want to be sure when we file these cases that they are fully vetted, I expect we'll start filing these cases against Sean Combs and other perpetrators within the next 30 days. Now, it's rare, you know, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, this type of activity is pervasive in our society, and it's rare we get a chance where we can really focus on this as a country and really focus on this about how pervasive this is and what we as collectively can do about it. So I thought
it's disappointing that you have a lot of people that co-opt issues like this and they turn them into being like kind of a women are lying or men are bad type situation, because I think it muddies the waters a lot. And what he's saying is really true. And the problem is, like, you have so many people with, like, you know, past unresolved trauma in one way or another, or like their, you know, vendetta against the other gender. And these people, I think what they do is that they try to, like, they want the world to look like the way they see it. And I do really, really hope people take this shit seriously. I do. I really hope people do, especially like a lot of the like kind of like red pill, like, you know, people that are like constantly worried about like, false accusations and shit like that. This stuff happens a lot, and it's real a lot. Like it's not like every accusation's fake.
Take this opportunity before I go into some of the individual cases.
It's on video. Some of them are
individual claims being made, and some of the, so you'll get a sense of what this 120 people group looks like individually. I want to bring forward Carrie Paul. She's a national victim advocate who helps victims who have been victimized by this type of conduct.
I feel like this pretty much what's going on, right? I mean, I think that, like, you know, him explaining it, I'll go ahead and I'll go to the end, because like they're just gonna be talking about like kind of like different things. So yeah, I mean, she just gonna be talking about. I'll wrap it up.
Of the victim, you can file these cases, these individual cases, under Jane Doe or John Doe. Each state is different in that respect.
Skips the woman.
Typically, there is a...
No, it's just that, like, I mean, obviously they're going to talk about like how prevalent like this kind of stuff is, and like why people don't come out for it and everything. And like I feel like also, like, I don't want to patronize you guys. I feel like most normal people know that, right? Everybody knows this, like most like adults, right? That aren't like you know, like part of some sort of like brainwashing. Like we all know this, and so that's why I'm like, yeah, we know.
A balancing test, like the public's right to know the name of the victim and plaintiff versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff.
Yeah.
So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense of the kind of cases and the kind of instances that people are calling and reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence on. One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party.
Yeah, of course.
Now, let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to a audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio.
And other people too.
In the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal.
What the fuck?
Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident,
and he's just like, okay, next, like, oh my God.
Individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her. Another individual, 26 at the time.
How do you just like, you just, like, this is crazy. Oh my God. And he just keeps going.
Of the occurrence was picked up by, allegedly, by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, where she then went to the hospital. She was missing her underwear and her shoes. Another instance, an individual, not a minor, attended a group dinner, allegedly with Sean Combs in Miami. She wasn't drinking because she was pregnant, but whatever she drank at the table, apparently, at least according to her, was laced with something. She blacked out, and she woke up in the same bed, again, allegedly, with Mr. Combs in his mansion in Miami.
And she was
her
pregnant?
Her vagina and her anus were torn and sore. And I could go on. I mean, literally, you're sensing a theme here. It's the same theme, and it all involves some sort of drug. One instance, an individual who was 20 years old at the time was asked to attend, just saw her on the street, asked to attend a party in a hotel. She was flattered, went to the party, was given one drink and doesn't remember anything else. Ultimately, was so messed up, went to the hospital where they found cocaine and this horse tranquilizer in her blood system. I want to give you a quote from a very young man who told us over the phone about his experience and all the things that happened to him, he says, allegedly at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his friends in the effort to try to sign.
So there's another one, right? Because like he's saying here that it wasn't, because like a lot of this is just like literally just Diddy doing it himself. But if you listen to what's being said here is that other people are also doing it. They were watching it happen, right? This is fucking insane. Like, this is like allegedly, it's allegedly, yep. We don't know.
A record deal. This was kind of what he was told he would have to do. His quote is, "Had he not been in power, I feel like I could have been something great. I quit the industry because of what Sean Combs did to me." And that's really what it comes down to. We are pursuing this,
I can easily see that,
asking you to support this effort, to encourage witnesses and victims to come forward and bring your evidence so we can continue to break down this wall of silence and we can continue to have these stories heard. This is the beginning of what I hope to be a national dialogue. This type of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation should never happen in the United States or anywhere else. This should have never been allowed to go on for so long. This conduct has created a mass of individuals who are injured, scared, and scarred.
Yeah, literally.
If you are one of those individuals, we ask you to reach out. If not to us, to someone you trust. If you are someone who witnessed any of these events, we ask you to reach out. Your name can remain confidential. With that, I'll take a few questions, not many, maybe two, but if you have a question, I'll be pleased to try to answer it.
Perfect. How many minors are making accusations in total, and are the feds aware of the allegations of minors in the case?
I don't know what the feds are aware of, okay, but I do know it's 25 out of this 120. But I will say this to that point. We welcome the FBI or any...
You see what he said, right? It's 25 out of the 120. So very clearly they received more. And again, they probably just picked the 120 most credible. It's more than 25. 25 is the minimum. And everybody knows it's more than that.
Authority who wants to come to us, and we're going to make that available to these victims because I think that's important. My suspicion is, based on talking with these folks, is that the FBI is just not aware of these people. The FBI has talked to some of these folks, and I'm going to try to encourage the victims to, in fact, talk to the FBI, because I think they have some very important things to say.
Yes. Were all of the children auditioning because they were musicians, or were any of them kids of employees or anything like that?
That's a good question.
Seeking either TV or some sort of music.
It was harder to hear. I think some people might not be able to hear that. What she asked was that, were they just kids that were just like there, or kids that were looking for prospective careers?
With promises of,
yeah,
we're going to make you a star.
Yeah. See.
Instead, basically did things to them such that they don't want to have anything to do with the entertainment industry ever again. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your attention. We're going to go now. Thank you.
Do you anticipate any Houston cases?
Holy shit. There's a video right there. Y'all want to watch the rest of it? Some parts of it I didn't watch. Did he get in the electric chair? I mean, I want to, like, honestly, I want to see him testify and say who else was involved. Because, like, that's really what needs to happen, is because, like, something like this, like, he didn't do this. He didn't solo this, right? Like, he did this with a bunch of other people. So, like, I mean, him going to jail and, like, he's done, right? Like, I mean, he's obviously done. So, like, that's a foregone conclusion. We know that's going to happen. What about everybody else? Yeah, like, what about the people that were involved? Like-minded individuals. Yeah, exactly, right? They better have them on watch for suicide. I'm going to be honest. I don't even think it matters. I think if Diddy kills himself or somebody kills Diddy at this point, it won't make a difference. Because there's so much corroborating evidence. There's so many people that have talked about it. And there's so many things that have happened. And there's probably data, phone calls. Like, again, like Epstein and Clinton, these guys are fucking professionals. Diddy? Usher? These are singers. Like, let's be honest, right? Like, they're not on that level. They're not anywhere remotely as powerful as somebody like Bill fucking Clinton. Like, let's be honest, right, guys? Like, yeah, these are the guys that pretend to be gangsters. People like Bill Clinton are the ones that say they're not gangsters, but they actually fucking are. Very big difference there. Diddy's a rookie? Yeah, bro, like these, yeah, they're... I don't think they have even remotely close to the power or influence to stop this from happening. Especially with so much information and so many people knowing the information. Hollywood's involved too. Yeah, I know. But Hollywood doesn't write laws. That's the difference. Singers are under the influence of powerful people who invested in them? Yeah, I guess so, right? Man, Clinton made $250 million in office and his wife. Hey, and that's just what we know about, right? You heard about 50 Cent selling a documentary about this to Netflix? I actually don't know anything about that. I'm not sure. They'll turn on each other. They're all snakes. Good. Like, I feel like, because, like, let's be real, right? Like, after that Harvey Weinstein shit, and the fact that, like, a bunch of other people didn't get called out for that, like, everybody knew, right? Like, we all knew, like, it is pretty obvious that, like, some bad shit happened, right? And there were a bunch of other people involved. But there just wasn't enough, like, information. Like, the floodgates had not opened at this point, right? This could be the greatest bust in... I actually think this will be the biggest reckoning in entertainment history if he follows through with this. And I actually don't know. Like, this is so insane. I can't even imagine something that could ever be bigger than this. This is insane. Personal assistant was promoted to create a $2 million show? Yeah, I don't know. Trump even stated he didn't know Epstein that well and got away with it. I don't know. I mean, like, Epstein and but, like, think about it, right? Think about the levels of magnitude of power between Donald Trump and, like, Usher or, like, P. Diddy. It's not even remotely fucking close. So that's why people like Donald Trump and other people can, like, Bobby Kotick. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, these guys are real popular. They've got albums that sell really well. But Bobby Kotick, that's a whole different situation. So, yeah, don't downplay. There's still queens in a deck of cards, man. Well, I mean, like, yeah, no, I mean, for sure. Also, his victimizing didn't slow down after all the Epstein and Weinstein shit came out. Yeah, exactly. Do you think this could implicate those powerful people like Epstein and Clinton? I do think that to an extent there is a web. How how big is that web, right? Like how how robust is the web? I don't know. I mean, I guess you're gonna have to find out. But I feel like at this point, the big difference between this and the Epstein stuff is that, number one, you're dealing with people primarily, at least in Hollywood, that are several magnitudes less powerful than actual politicians and former presidents, right? So they have less power to exercise to stop this from happening, number one. Number two, there's a lot of talk about videos and information made about this, and it's done in a decentralized way. And there are so many points of failure. So a lot of conspiracies in my mind fall apart whenever I have to imagine that 10,000 people can keep a secret. No, don't believe it. I don't believe it. And I think especially whenever you have this much communication and this many people like, cooperating with each other, there will be a fuck up. Absolutely. Tunnel under. Yeah, there's a tunnel. Yeah, there are apparently Los Angeles home underground tunnel at P. Diddy's Los Angeles house near Playboy Mansion. This dude had underground tunnels. Yeah. What do you think about Trump being with Diddy in a lot of those images? I think that's very concerning. And I think everybody should, I don't think this is a shoot first and ask questions later. I mean, who knows, right? Maybe he had nothing to do with it. Maybe he did. I feel like it's totally fucking over for them. I think this could actually be like a rapture on a level that I don't think we've ever seen. I think this is going to make like the Epstein stuff and the Harvey Weinstein stuff look like a joke. And honestly, I think it's going to make the R. Kelly stuff look like a joke. This seems like probably potentially the biggest one.